Alright, in this episode we're going to build ourselves some storage, try and organize all that cluttered floor space up, sort it all out, and then continue to build up our base, hopefully getting to the point where we can build our high-speed furnace. Although I'm not 100% sure if we're going to have enough time to do that in this episode, but we'll just have to see how far we get with that. So let's start by placing down this portable air scrubber over here. We can't keep relying on the vent in the airlock to keep clearing out all the gases, all the atmosphere in the room, because that's A, very power hungry, and B, not very efficient because it's on the end like that. It takes a long time for all the gas to be flowed out there and fully sucked up, especially when the atmosphere becomes very low. So we're going to use this portable air scrubber in the middle of the room since it's nice and energy efficient and located in the center, so we'll do a very good job of cleaning up the remaining gases and getting us into a state of vacuum. On the flip side, also, when it runs out of power, when the battery is completely used up, it will stop, unlike our active vent in the airlock, which would just continue to suck up all our power from our big batteries and power system, which is not good. So the portable air scrubber is quite handy for this little task. Let's also get ourselves some lockers building over here. We're going to be using the storage lockers in order to organize all that stuff that's on the floor and get it out of the way for our future buildings and expansions. And there is number 2. Just got to keep that furnace on the go, smelting the few basic ores that we need. We want to smelt most of our ores in the furnace that we're going to be building, but for now we'll just smelt the things that we need in the arc furnace until we can get to that point. Don't want to use the arc furnace too much because of its considerable power draw. Let's also just get this portable tank out of the way so it's not in our way when we build. And now I can put down these lockers. We'll start with the first one. There we go. Quickly pick up all these sheets that I left the manufacturer building there. I think we've got enough now, so we can stop that. And I forgot that we actually need a total of 4 lockers. It uses 2 lockers to make one of those big lockers. So let's just build another 2 of those quickly. The unfortunate thing about the autolathe and all these manufacturers is they'll just keep building the stuff. If you don't stop it manually, you could end up losing pretty much all of your resources in building things you don't need. Very unfortunate. Only the fabricator really gets around that problem, but it's actually since been removed from the game, so you're kind of stuck with the problem now. Or at least it is the case in the beta branch of the game. Okay, now we can just start filling up our locker, get all the stuff off the floor space, and then clear enough space that we can put down a second locker and just continue the process. Another interesting thing to note about the portable atmospherics unit is that, or the portable air scrubber I should say, is that a lot of people doesn't realize this, but you don't have to put filters in the back of it. If you don't put any filters in the back of it and you turn it on, it's going to basically just suck up all the gases, all the atmosphere, regardless of what they are, as opposed to if you put a filter in it, then it will only suck up the kind that you're filtering on. Also, you can use the handle to reverse the direction of the atmospheric unit, so you can also expel all the gases on the inside, something that we're probably going to have to do later when it gets too full. You don't have to worry about the atmospheric unit exploding if your temperature is consistent, because it will stop sucking up gases when it has no more room to store them, so it won't accidentally blow up. It's only if your temperature gets hot all of a sudden, the gases that's already inside of it start to expand too much, then you run that risk, but otherwise it's perfectly safe to just leave it on. while I'm busy sorting this stuff here, let's talk about Vulcan's atmosphere quickly. So Vulcan's atmosphere is made up of a number of different gases, but the most notable of which for us would be the fact that its atmosphere contains carbon dioxide and hydrogen, amongst other things. So the carbon dioxide will be useful for us later when we want to build a greenhouse, since it's essentially a free source of carbon dioxide. As long as we can just cool it down, we'll have a steady supply to feed our plants. But more notable to our more immediate goals is the fact that it contains hydrogen. Now, a furnace needs hydrogen and oxygen in order to operate, or at least to use as a fuel source to achieve good temperatures and pressures. So if the atmosphere already contains hydrogen, and we happen to have an oxygen tank on hand, we already have everything we need to supply a furnace and get it running at full steam. Of course, this is not to say that you can't do the typical Vulcan trick of basically just putting your furnace outside and letting the 750 degree Celsius temperature outside heat up the contents of the furnace, because you can basically smelt almost anything at that temperature. It's only really iron that you would have a lot of trouble with, or some of the special ores. But for the most part, you could smelt anything. It's a bit of a slow process if you do that, because as soon as you put an ore in there, it already has mass and it has its own temperature, and in order to heat that ore up to the point where it can melt and be used for a smelting recipe, it's going to automatically lower the temperature inside the furnace of the gases. So that means that while that is a perfectly viable approach and a very cost-effective approach of getting your stuff smelted, it's cumbersome and slow, and on a 4 times hunger run, we don't have that kind of time to smelt all the things we need to smelt. This is why we will be building a high-speed furnace setup, which basically requires precision operation on your part, but the end result is that you can get stuff smelted very, very quickly and use very, very little resources like oxygen. But we will go into that a bit later when we actually do it. Now you see my health is critical now, so I'm going to need to eat some food soon. Basically the tactic here is to wait until your hunger hits 0, and then wait some more. Your health will start dropping because you're busy starving. Wait until it goes all the way down to about 25% and you get the critical warning, and then eat something. It will refill your food back up to about 60%, and as long as you have any percentage on the food, on the hunger bar, you will actually slowly but surely heal. So my 25% health I'm now on will slowly rise while the hunger bar is busy counting down again, and only once it hits 0 will the health start dropping again. So in this way you're buying a lot of extra free time while you're busy starving, that you don't have to be eating these nutrient bars, and you can push it just that much further. Now I just noticed there that my power actually ran out. The battery drained completely flat, so we're gonna have to grab some coal over here and stick it in our solid fuel generator and get that going. Okay, that's busy going. Now let's just do a battery switcheroo over there so that I can charge both medium batteries at the same time. Let's not waste that precious coal burn. The hydraulic pipe bender is going to be the next manufacturing structure that we build, so we can build all of the parts that we need to construct our furnace setup. It's weird that only the one charges. Just swap them around, make sure the other one also charges. It probably would charge anyway, but games, bugs and glitches makes me a bit nervous sometimes. Let's just finish up this sorting so that our floor space is all nice and clear. We of course keep the scrubber and the vent working full time to keep vacuum out all the atmosphere that's being added from the solid fuel generator burning and the arc furnace burning and that sort of thing. We want to keep that as low as possible so we don't run into any temperature problems with especially with our oxygen tank. Okay, let's get the power line for the hydraulic pipe bender ready. You got to be careful not to attach to an existing power line while something is busy constructing, because any change to an existing power line or deletion of a cable will cause all the productions in progress to currently just cancel, and you'll basically lose all their progress. You won't lose the resources for them, but you will lose the progress. And that would be very annoying for something that takes a while to build, like the pipe bender. So we will just attach the final part of the line after the pipe bender has been placed, or at least after it's been built. Alright, let's also get the furnace on the go, since that also takes a little bit of time to build while we deal with our pipe bender. That's busy running out of power over there. We have to deal with that. There we go. Oh dear, and that's also full. So now we reverse it. Have it blow everything out into the room. Now this may seem strange, considering we spent all this time sucking up all these gases, but the active vent in the corridor over there in the airlock can suck up a large amount of gases very quickly, so it's actually not that big of a deal. Once it's sucked up the majority of the gases, we'll switch the more central portable unit into sucking the gases back up again, the small amount that remains, since it's better at dealing with the small amount due to its central location. We're just gonna wait for it to empty out a bit and have space to suck up more gases. Let's just get this pipe bender finished constructing quickly. Okay, that power is as full gets, so we'll just turn that off. Can work on swapping our main battery back now. Okay, so I need to go grab some of this nighttime from my mining. There's still a bunch of ores that I need, mostly iron, and I don't really want to waste the nighttime hours. Let's see how much of this night I have left to pull this off. Hopefully a little bit. Also just put that back. There we go. Okay, we should be good to go now. Okay, and once again let's just speed up the boring mining bits. Okay, daylight is once more catching up with us. We need to head back inside. But let me just check if this isn't some last second ores I can just grab quickly. No, nothing that I can see. Alright, back in we go. Nothing? No, nothing. Okay, for such a short time that was a relatively successful trip. We got most of what we needed. There's still just a little bit that we still need, but we can make one last small mining trip for that, so no harm there. Let's just put all of this away. Okay, this thing's out of power, but it's also done with its job, so we can turn it off. Okay, let's just grab that furnace over there. Now we want to build the various parts needed for our furnace setup, so we're going to do that now. We're actually done with the auto lathe, so we're just going to empty this auto lathe out, get all the ores out of it, and move them over to our pipe bender, since the only parts that we need to still build now for our furnace setup are all from the pipe bender side of things. So let's just transfer them quickly. We're still going to need a little bit more iron ore, so let's just stick that in the arc furnace. I think this will be our last one if I'm not mistaken, for all the parts that we need to make. Which also means we're going to need to turn on the atmospheric units again, just suck all this gas out. And once again we need to deal with our health situation, so let's just eat that. Grab our next bar. You always want to keep at least 2 in your suit at all times, just in case you're not near your source of lunch bars. Ah, no power. Right, I forgot about this little detail. I forgot to connect it when we were done building stuff in the auto lathe. There we go. All sorted. Okay, first thing we're going to need for our furnace setup is one passive vent. Then in addition to that we're also going to need one additional pipe valve. We already have 2, this will make 3 total. You start with 2 at the beginning of the game. Okay. Now one pressure regulator. Well, actually it's going to be a back pressure regulator, but same component. Just need one of those. And a tank connector for our oxygen tank in this setup. And then we're also going to need a bunch of pipes. I built like an extra stack of 20 in addition to the 20 that you start with. I think that's a fair amount, or somewhere around there should be enough. Okay, we're just going to gather up all the stuff that we need for the setup. That includes the active vent as well. There we go, some pipes. Alright, I'm going to stop there for now. We're sort of out of time here. In the next episode we're going to start building our high-speed furnace setup, especially just pipes that we need to build. So I'll see you guys next time.